performance. And I am really, really looking forward to seeing, even though I predicted them to lose this series 3-0, what they're going to show us today, because this team is one of the more interesting teams we've ever had in playoffs. You know, usually when you look at a playoff bracket like this one, you're like, okay, Gen.G, T1, Hanwha, the rest, I'm not even interested. But BNK's meteoric rise almost feels like it could be studied.
Yeah, it kind of reminds you of KT from Road to MSI and what they were able to do, and then they kind of got snuffed out pretty quickly. But, you know, there's more chances here in the playoffs. So let's take a look at what we have in this draft, as already a couple of mid lanes are going to be banned away from BDD.
With the Wukong on blue side banned away here by KT, I think they're definitely looking for a Yunara first pick if that's left open. They could instead go for something like a Pantheon if that is taken, but they actually ban it alongside the Wukong. So that was surprising to me, but that's now gone and removed. And so we're looking like maybe we're looking to trade here, Taliyah and Pantheon.
Well, the Ornn ban comes through as well, so maybe a Rumble to be selected for clear. But maybe Perfect says, well, now I'm going to play the Rumble.
It feels like such a trap here by BNK. I love this choice because we mentioned already, Perfect loves to play Rumble, almost always gets his hands on it in game one, but it's going to be taken away from him. He won't have the chance to play it in this whole best of 5. And they deny the Ornn. They get the 1-2 here on red side of Rumble Taliyah. And now I suppose maybe something like a draft here with the Rise that compare well with the Pantheon is something that KT could be looking for. It has been BDD's most iconic pick this year. Perfect will get his Ambessa. So Ambessa Rise looks like it's going to be the lock-in. Top side here completely set now for KT Rolster.
Hey, you talked about the big guns being used in game 1 of a best of 5 fearless draft. We're already seeing that as all of these super high prio picks are coming out. BNK, they mentioned they wanted to play 4 prio in the lanes specifically, and already they do have a couple of strong lanes. They're going to finish off with the Xinjiao.
Yeah, it's not surprising. We're going full tier list here. Compositionally, both of these rosters looking very solid to start things off. I think Corki needs to be taken away from Duckdom. I think that is probably what this ban is going to be here for BNK, unless they want to play it themselves, which they certainly could. The Nico is gone, so that Corki Nico lane, which has been terrorizing the Rift, is not going to be available. See what KT's read is going to be after they see that Poppy ban. Not necessarily super strong into what KT have, what BNK have right now, so surprised to see that one taken away. The Rakan will be matched, so Poppy's good into Rakan, you ban that. The Rakan follows. That Corki, though, is still open. I think that's, to me, the biggest prio pick that's left available right now.
Yeah, I mean, maybe they just pick that up for themselves and take that away from Duckdom. We do know that Diablo can play pretty much anything. Duckdom has also shown a pretty wide champion pool, so definitely pretty interesting to see all these supports get banned away.
See, Duckdom is dominating the conversation here in draft. I imagine he's discussing what he will play into the Corki if it is taken away here by Diablo right now in this R4 spot. There's a lot of other strong picks like the Lucian that we've seen played quite a bit, but Lucian into Corki does leave you a little bit vulnerable, especially if Peter gets his hands on something that's ranged and can support the Corki well. There's no Rakan in this lane anymore, but it will be Diablo's Lucian to get slammed down here.
Yeah.
But the Corkis feel so obvious, right? And they're even looking at potentially a Milio pick. I don't know about that.
It's going to go for the Leona. It's more hard engage, and we're almost 100% going to be seeing Braum here. Yes. The Leona can go through the Braum with the E tether, but it's Lucian Braum. That's why you pick the Lucian. That's one of the weaknesses of being on red side and picking the Lucian first, is that it's very obvious that Braum is coming out. So as you were mentioning, Peter could have gone for something ranged or gone for something to potentially target the lane, but instead just going to go with the tried and true engage support.
So on the map, both teams have incredible power because it's Taliyah Rise, but I give KT Rolster a slight edge because they have the Pantheon, right? And the Xinjiao is not going to be able to follow up on a Taliyah Weaver's Wall as easily. And there isn't necessarily big setup with this Braum. The Rel was taken away, the Rakan was taken away for Equalizer, but they can play this comp like a pick comp. And, you know, you just set up a big shove onto somebody, the Lucian follows up so incredibly well. But the Corki is so safe in this draft because he has Valkyrie. He also follows up on a Pantheon engage incredibly well. So the game is going to be about big skirmishes in the mid game. Who has prio? Who can set up those seismic shoves? Who can set up the potential Rise Realm Warp angle, the Pantheon flank? Everything is going to be about who has that side lane control, and the Ambessa is going to feel really good at setting that up as well.
Yeah,
great drawings here.
Would definitely agree. The detail is actually very nice on that drawing. But yeah, it does feel like, you know, BNK, they wanted to draft for prio, but the side laning is going to be so strong for KT that feels like KT got a good draft to start off on the side of Blue's side. But it's a long series potentially. Let's see what happens though as we hop into the rift for game number 1.
소환사의 협곡에 오신 것을 환영합니다. 미니언 생성까지 30초 남았습니다.
Alrighty, here we go. Game number 1 of the second matchup here at the Bank 2025 LCK playoffs. And this one, a lot of us expected to go the distance, but you expected the 3-0. As we're going to have a little level 1 actually from KT against Braum.
I think a lot of people will be shocked by my 3-0 prediction. And I will explain the reasoning very briefly. It's
I was curious.
The same reasoning I said when you and I were casting Nongshim last time. I was like, oh, it's going to be Legend Group Diff. But also, the coordination from KT has just looked better than BNK's. Even though BNK look really good right now, they're playing through bottom lane incredibly well. They've solved their identity problem, I think, that they had a lot of this year. And then they're building drafts around that, so they look better. But I still think KT is the stronger team. If you don't think it's going to be a 3-0, I think some of that comes down to the fact that Fearless Draft is quite unpredictable, and as we get deeper in the series, sometimes teams build compositions that are less standard, and then the volatility goes up. So I could see that happening, but as an official prediction, I think KT should take the 3-0. But I say that right now, again, with a lot of caveats, and I'm hoping that BNK really shows up today, as they did in play-ins, because that just continues to be such a cool story as a team that's never participated in Worlds.
Yeah. I mean, that's, you know, to explain the BNK side, it just feels like we've seen a lot of times, especially in Korea, but pretty much everywhere. As we do have some pressure here. Just going to hit level 2 first. This is expected from Lucian Braum, especially against a melee support of the Leona. Going to hit level 2 here first. But yeah, having that momentum from the lower bracket, which in this case is the play-ins, is pretty huge. And the fact that they have looked so strong and very consistent, it's not very BNK, so it's a very good look for the team. It shows a lot of development. And so I feel like I was giving that a lot of credence and saying, like, these guys deserve the respect and can even catch a KT that off guard that's not quite ready, that hasn't played through that play-ins bracket.
Yeah.
You know, that's why I went for the 3-2, though, because KT is a fantastic team, and I do think that they should be able to at least win 2 games.
Since we got to best of 5s, seems like going to game 5 is a pretty safe bet as well.
Yeah.
So Diablo didn't take barrier. Is confident enough they're going to win the level 1 with this Braum, as he is going to be able to get out of here.
Yeah.
And he does have cleanse, so he knows that when Peter hits level 2, if he goes for the re-engage, he has cleanse advantage. So it's kind of rare to see Lucian go cleanse in a matchup where you want to dominate, but he's just so confident that he and Kellen can get it done at level 1 that he takes the cleanse for safety elsewhere instead. So pretty risky choice, but it is going to pay off here in this lane. Yeah. Kellen does have to heal, though, unfortunately.
Yeah, Kellen does have to heal, but they're still putting on so much pressure here as the stun is going to come out from Peter, but no cleanse just yet from Diablo. Cleanse, very OP into Leona.
Yeah.
Just, you know, you press it once for 1 stun, and then it reduces all the future stuns for, you know, I think it's like 5 seconds or so after the fact. As Raptors bottom lane. Anyone
again
surprised?
Yeah, this is what he does. He just pats bottom. By the way, look at all the vision he has set up here. He knows that Cuz is nowhere near the area, and they even go deeper to the Krugs to verify that fact. And this is going to deny a significant amount of farm from Duckdom, who finds himself significantly far behind. Peter is going to go over here and hold this wave for a minute and get some additional information, and then they're going to have that back to come through. But tons of bottom side vision here for BNK. Great start for them in this bottom lane. This has just kind of been the bread and butter for this squad right now, and you trust your AD carry well enough to continue that pressure. And now your support, who's also making the big plays down there to set that up. It's definitely a good call. This top lane is going very well for clear, and you mentioned BNK's early draft prio in the lanes. It is working a treat.
Yeah, this is their comfort zone, and We just got to see just how much pressure they can put on. Because if you give BDD room to side lane, if you give Perfect a chance to come back after what should be an early deficit against this Rumble, you're going to find yourself in a world of hurt against KT. But for the early game, we know what BNK can do, and they're extremely aggressive. They're overly aggressive most of the time, but they're able to win it back with more aggressive play. So definitely looking forward to the action in this one. A little bit different from what we saw yesterday, hopefully.
Yeah, so far some aggressive plays leading to a significant gold lead here for BNK in that bottom lane. Top lane, smaller lead, but still significant, as Cuz hasn't really been able to make any impact in this game just yet. He's going to head down towards the bottom side of the map right now. He's going to scry, just try to find where Raptor is. The angle is good there. Decides not to try to make a play. And we just kind of reset back to normal here. The early fights around these grubs, the skirmishes, is going to be really pivotal, right? And when we get to the mid-game, that's when this game will probably be decided, right? Where Diablo and Vikla sets up the shove, Diablo looks to burst somebody down, Clear drops an equalizer, you kill somebody. But the same is true of KT, or as Peter is lurking. Vikla found.
Gonna drop down a wall, but it gets denied as the flash away. Peter's going in, but there's 0 follow-up damage. Vikla totally fine, gonna get the plant on top of it all. And now Peter's way too deep, should be first blood, given over to the side of Diablo's Lucian.
The equalizer gonna prevent them from following up on this as well. That's a level 4 Corki. Might just look for a bit of a smite steal. I think that's the best they can hope for.
Yeah, I mean, Duckdom's pretty healthy, so he's trying to frontline here, but now he's just going to get engaged on. Has to flash away. The steal does come through, though. Cuz going to be good on the smite button, as he always is. TP comes back from Peter, but the rest of KT is so low. Nobody can help this Leona. And yeah, you got the Drake, but now you're 2,000 gold behind KT.
Yeah, that was
a massive fight.
Big disaster from KT. They were able to get the smite steal with Cuz, but I think that was the best they could have hoped for. Perfect goes in with his ult as well. He's hoping, oh man, these health bars are so low. Maybe we can clean up this fight, because if you win that fight, you get such a massive swing. But I think they should have been happy with the end result of getting the dragon here. As this follow-up, unfortunately, they're outnumbered. Like, Diablo's coming over here with full health. Peter is way too deep here. They just don't have the damage to back this up. Cuz here doesn't really offer much damage, right? Duckdom is zoned away. He's full health, so he comes up to try to frontline so that Cuz can get the steal. That's successful, right? That ends up being a 50-50 here that is successful by the side of KT as Perfect goes in. But I think at this point, you just sack Perfect and leave. Peter shows up, but I think his best option here would have been to try to help his teammates get away. Instead, he goes back in. Again, so low are the health bars of BNK. They just get bonus gifts here from KT in the end.
Yeah, I mean, the early scrap from KT against BNK of all teams, when they're down a member, it just felt like they were scrambling. Not the best choice from KT, and BNK welcomed it with open arms like we knew they would. As now Pantheon is going to come in. KT want to force more fighting against this team, which I would say is a bit confusing, especially because Raptor is here. Trying to be proactive as KT, and it's not going to pay off this time.
No, certainly not. Does give Duckdom some alone time here in this bottom lane, and they're just going to sack grubs and try to get this Corki out of the hole. But with 3 kills on the Lucian, keep digging. I mean, trying to dig out is maybe not the right metaphor here, but he is going to be able to pick up a plate, at least in the bottom side. But this is 3 grubs, 2 BNK. They don't have the stronger side laning team, but it's denial of the powerful side laning that we've talked about here in KT's draft, so that feels fantastic. On top of the gold lead they already have, and maybe they could even set something more here up. Vikla's almost got his Weaver's Wall back online.
5 people. Already the damage is coming in. TPs from both mid laners will join up, as now Perfect just trying to survive the public execution, but already a bit low. See the BNK, everybody grouping up for this one. Flash forward from BDD just to get away from the seismic shove and trade a little bit of damage. Duckdom, meanwhile, getting some free damage on this bottom turret, not half bad for KT.
Yeah, eliminating a few hundred gold of that deficit that he had over or under Diablo, but at the end of the day, this still is a pretty big win for BNK. They wanted more out of that. They committed Vikla's TP, but not the Weaver's Wall. Perfect's ult wasn't great, but it's enough. BDD loses flash to try to make an aggressive play, get some damage on, which deters further diving, but really all KT got was a bit of a dent in that 80 carry spot, as maybe if Clear had ult, he could make something happen here. Don't think he will.
Nah, just matching Perfect, and Peter's gonna leave, so now Perfect is very much all alone. It's not gonna be a kill, but it pushes him way out of the lane, and he doesn't have TP.
Yeah, so this early game looking very good for BNK. KT with some very aggressive, decisive, I'll say, but aggressively decisive decisions that backfired in a big way. I think the call to leave Ducked on bottom there and not fight for Grubs was correct, and I think the concept there for KT is, look, we'll at least get some money on our Corki. Maybe they'll overextend here and we can get something back. Diablo takes that ward out, very nice. And this game can swing back to KT if they win an upcoming fight, or they're able to gank aggressively with Realm Warp and the Grand Starfall a few times here. But I think BNK now just kind of need to sit on their lead and take safe fights around the prio. They should be able to maintain. They already had lane prio. Look at the vision around the second dragon here. And it spawns in 50 seconds. They didn't get the first one, but they got the gold from it. And I think KT probably wouldn't choose to spend 2,300 gold for an Ocean Dragon if they if they had the choice again.
Yeah, not worth. Feels pretty good as a singular dragon, but it's not helping them at all from this deficit. And they have so much prio in mid now. It's not the old Lucian Nami with Imperial Mandate, one-item power spike, but it's still a extremely fed Lucian who just gets to sit mid, and Duckdom just kind of sits here and farms the wave behind Diablo and tries not to interact. And that's not priority for the Corki.
Yeah, I think this is just going to be a Drake here for BNK, and I think because KT got the first one, I don't want to say they should be happy to give it up, but I think they should be willing to give it up at this point, because trying to fight in this again, I think would arguably be more disastrous than the last time they went for it. They are kind of posturing for an opportunity here. BDD does have Realm Warp in this bottom lane to try to join up if there was an opportunity, but instead he's just going to push that wave out as fast as possible, just be Rise, use that wave clear to try to cost BNK some minions. Don't think he'll even get that as Vikla rotates over very quickly. And the Dragon is a trade leading into Cloud Soul here for game one. And so far, holding on to the lead pretty well. Sure, it's not as big as it was, like it's shrunk a little bit, but you could just use the advantages you have now to hold on to this game. Maybe get more.
Yeah, they're just going to find Peter here, Cuz nearby, but now we got a wall as Vikla will join up, and Peter going to get knocked back, and no escape for him. That's a nice little pick. They were just kind of hanging around that Drake and not really doing anything about it, trying to get vision down, and they also get punished for sticking around too.
Leona can do this when your teammates are nearby. You take so much damage. Like, Keria is such a master at this. We've seen Lahens be a master at this. Even Kellen of just sitting on Leona and making it look like you're a juicy target, absorb a ton of cooldowns, and then the re-engage comes through. But Peter was just a ragdoll there. His teammates were nowhere near for a follow-up, and so BNK very aware of this, so like, thank you for the additional gift, as it almost looks like they're trying to bait this, but you don't win these because Weaver's Wall is up. BDD does not Realm Warp in. If he comes in and matches this Weaver's Wall or is there first, then maybe you could have a play here, but instead, he just kind of has to watch on as his teammate is eliminated for the third time. Peter, 0-3 on this Leona in game one.
Yeah, not the best start, that's for sure. But, you know, he's frontlining. He was going very deep in all these early engages. Oh, the barrier's going to keep him safe. But he does have to use barrier, so I think BNK will be okay with that trade.
Yeah, I mean, I think they definitely are. It's like a win for them no matter what.
Yeah. Stopping the back would have been more valuable, but at least you get something. And BDD has started his Rise side laning arc.
Yeah, this is like the BDD 0-4 Rise in side lane forever that we saw from him the other day. It wasn't enough to win the game, but he did a lot later on. He is going to try to finish the work that Duckdom started here. In terms of plate health here, they win this race, especially with the Ambessa TPing over. I think this is definitely going to be a win here for KT. They should be able to pick up first turret.
Should be able to,
I think so.
I think just the fact they had so much damage on the turret as the plates go down, and right there, KT's going to pick up that first turret as Diablo just alone in mid lane, trying to set up a play on a Diablo who does not respect him, but he gets away somehow! And now they're so deep behind the turrets of BNK, and they do get punished immediately for that. Duckdom should be going down here on top of it all. Double kill for Vikla. And they're even looking for a bit more, but it looks like KT should get out.
I mean, this is another of those moments for Diablo where you're like, man, you're really walking a tightrope. I guess this time you get punished, but in fact, He barely survives, has to use both summoners, but gets away, has the equalizer to follow up from clear there on the turn. And KT, 0 kills to 7, 3,500 gold behind in this early game. It doesn't get much worse than this. They got the first turret. That's 1 feat of strength, I suppose, in your pocket here. As this initially is fine. You got the slow from Leona. He flashes away, cleanses here, and then dashes through. Kellen's there to save. Has the ult. It's not the best ult, but look at this from clear. He shows up, and now you're on the wrong side of the map. And Duckdom misses his barrier now, because actually does a ton of work to Vikla and kind of spaces him well there.
Yeah. Maybe could have gotten that.
I don't think he gets the kill, but it would have been closer.
Yeah. It just means that BNK with this early lead are just able to take everything off the map. They'll get the Swift Herald on top of it all. I do like that KT have identified their position and they're trying to make plays, but unfortunately for them, it's not working. Like, I think the idea behind it is kind of fine, but nothing is really working for them. The dive was way too over-aggressive. But the side laning, they know that's their win condition. They're trying to get perfect and BDD in the side lanes.
Yeah, that part makes sense,
yeah.
You know, the aggressive dive on Diablo kind of also makes sense because he is alone there, but at the end of the day, like, he's not alone for long, right? The rotations come over and ends up backfiring in a big way. Even if you kill him, I don't think that's necessarily a win because you use so much. They were going to get the Herald afterwards anyways. And Drake spawning in 40 seconds here. They have Herald to gain prio. They could just get a free turret here in the bottom lane. That looks like is exactly what they're going to do. But look at the vision. Like, KT weren't even really planning on showing up. They're like, well, I guess we'll just casually grab a turret here as well. And I think KT's best counterplay, cross map, if you will, is to try to grab mid turret. And even that seems a bridge too far. BDD is alone in the top lane. Let's see, how good's your driving?
He could get this mid turret if he actually has good driving. He's not going to go for it. Would be kind of a bridge too far. I mean, he's Xinjiao, so maybe he could have tried for it, but they were right there, so they could have just damaged it before he hit the turret. So.
It did kind of get them to pull away from the mid lane a little bit. BDD got some extra side laning done here on the top side at the same time, though. And I do think that KT probably should avoid fighting from now on and just stay inside. It's like, let them have the next 2 dragons, probably. I don't think you really want to force without any control over the map. Just let BDD sit in the side, stack up those Rod of Ages stacks, and get your Seraphs online, and then start building for that 3rd item where once Ryze is level 16, he's going to do massive amounts of damage. You know, the Corki as well, looking for that 2-item spike. Like, he's 0 and 1. It's just that the Lucian is so big. That's the bigger problem, not the KDA of the Corki or Duckdom's play in this game. It's just that Diablo's so fed early. BDD is not going to get punished here. Has that Pantheon to shadow him, which is why we're talking about Ryze and Bessa so strong with Pantheon insides in this game, and even down 7 kills here and 3,500 gold. There is some real side lane pressure they can put on.
Yeah, there definitely is. I just wonder if they're going to get to that point. As by the way, from earlier, if you were curious, Diablo survived with 7 health. So it was very close. Kellen got there right on time. Even just 1 auto would have killed him. And so now we're at 7 and 0 because of that 7 health play. And, you know, just if you only had a fed Lucian, he's a low range guy. You've got a decent amount of CC. You have nice setup. Maybe they could deal with him, but oh boy. Now Cuz in a really awkward spot. He is going to have to flash out of this one. Although the wall doesn't really punish him on the backside of that.
Yeah, he does get away. Sees that wall coming down, and he knows what's up. Those his teammates are nowhere near. Down flash doesn't feel good. And now they're just scrambling to defend this mid turret. Because everyone was grouped up top side, that's the turret they were trying to side lane for. They can't get that. There's no one side laning in the bottom lane. They just really want to keep this turret alive, because if you lose this turret, and Vikla can look for really, really strong, long-range Weaver's Wall engages to try to catch you in your own farming mid lane, that's when things get really disastrous. They are kind of looking for it just the same here. Realm Warp is available for BDD on the side of this fight. I think they're just going to push another wave in and say, that's my turret.
Yeah.
And there's, like, the side lanes aren't side laning for KT. They're trying to defend this turret and failing, and so they get nothing. There is no cross map.
Yeah, kind of the worst result for KT, kind of just sitting around watching their turrets die. I think that BNK can always force that turret to go down, especially with Rumble, right? Like, you just put down an equalizer and they can't really approach, and the fact that he's fed and the Talia's fed and the Xinjiao's fed, the Diablo, Lucian is fed, just don't really have a chance of holding that turret. So sitting around and watching it die also not going to feel very good. BNK, they know where their bread is buttered as well. They're just going to stick as a 5-man unit and try not to deal with the side lanes and continue to try to push this lead.
Yeah, I think for BNK, you literally just push waves and group for the next objective. And then you just rinse and repeat that. If you mess up a fight against KT or fail to answer some of their side laning, then there's a way back into the game for KT, but I don't think that mistake will be made. Duckdom's sitting on 2 items now. There are a lot of KT members down here on the bottom side of the map looking for an Otacon threaten, as BNK not starting it just yet. Looking like Perfect is alone. Peter's seen, though.
Yeah, now they kind of get caught in the gambit, so they just have to back off awkwardly. This is going to give full control of the pit here to BNK. There's a ward here on the Otacon, though. BDD
can push this wave really quickly in mid to put BNK on a little bit of a timer here. You see Vikla is going up now to answer that wave, and he does have, again, Teleport and Realm Orb. He's going to back right now before he does join this fight. I think BNK need to be decisive, need to make a call, and the call is to start this Otacon. Only solo, though, so the resistances here are not being shred by BNK. I love how they're playing this. They're just like, no, Raptor can tank this by himself. We're just going to go prio or bust. Look at the flank angle from Vikla as well. He can punish the advance.
They are so ready to fight. Like, they are just so ready. The wall is perfect. Cuz is totally caught out, and down he will go. Now you don't have a smite, and they keep the Otacon leash. BNK are playing this perfectly, and KT don't really have an answer.
Now there's just no smite for KT.
Oh, and Peter just kind of hanging around. It looks like he might go down as well. They're trying to fight 4v5 as Perfect Execution is going to miss. They do get Kellen, but that is it. As the Otacon will go down. BNK picks that up as well.
I don't know if I've seen a cleaner Otacon take from a Rise team this season. They had full control of the bottom lane. They put Raptor on it solo. The rest of the team pushes up. Vikla's in the Dragon Pit saying if KT walk over to contest, we're going to go for the collapse. They know their target. It's the flashless Pantheon. Remember, he had to flash earlier against the last Weaver's Wall play from Vikla. He narrowly escapes there, but doesn't have his flash to get out of the engage. And once the Pantheon is down, it's a free Otacon. Look at the angle from Vikla. He's like, you guys can't be here. Equalizer perfectly placed. It's a death trap here. And the one who's left, the one who has no mobility, the one who has no flash is the jungler. And the Raptor can stay on this solo. KT feel like they have to try to force something. And unfortunately for Perfect, he's just a little bit too short on this ultimate. It looks like it hits. I mean, it's so close. Diablo flashes away, and sure, they end up getting the Braum, but it doesn't matter. It's free Otacon here for BNK. Such a good setup.
That was just really clean. I think it is actually the cleanest Otacon we've had from a Rise team. That's for sure. I was thinking maybe the cleanest I'd ever seen because it just was that clean, but you know, we do have teams like Gen.G, Hamalive, T1 who have had some really clean ones. And now we're setting up for another Dragon, and KT just feel priced in. They just feel forced, like they have to take these fights, but again, this is what BNK wants.
Yeah, I would rather have BD in the top lane where they just kind of stay around here and have a Rise side lane. Instead, they want a team fight.
Oh boy, they're going to catch Cuz again! And now the Equalizer comes down. He has to flash away. He might just burn away. At the same time, just barely going to live. And it's an obvious Drake that goes over to BNK with Cuz nowhere near. And they don't even get the kills, but I think BNK are totally fine with the way that one played out.
I mean, BDD doesn't have teleport. I get it. Like, if he's trying to push top lane, obviously he can't join the fight. But if he just kind of sits way far away from everyone, and then once again the Pantheon gets caught by a shove, you don't get anything anyways. You watch the Dragon go down, and you don't get any power for your Rise. KT really thought they had an angle there. Perhaps they don't realize how far behind they truly are. I mean, they must. I mean, you would think they would, but it's like, it's a 4-kill Lucian. You mentioned earlier, if that was the only problem, then you'd be like, oh, okay, well, this is still winnable. All we have to do is kill Diablo or push him out of the fight, and we can win. But it's a pretty big Rumble, you know? It's a pretty big Talia as well, who's got item advantage over BDD right now. And the highest gold in the game is Diablo. This shouldn't be a shock to anyone. Like, KT can press tab and check.
Yeah.
But I'm a little bit surprised how KT is playing this one out. Just kind of disrespecting BNK's team fighting and their setup here.
Yeah, I'm just kind of thinking that, you know, they feel forced to take these fights, but as we've kind of highlighted, I'm not really sure that that's the case, or at least you had time to try to catch up, and unfortunately they've spent that time trying to team fight instead. And now you're on a real timer because BNK will get Cloud Soul. So now you have to fight for the next one. Whereas
yeah, you could have avoided this one.
Avoided it.
You could have got like BDD could have an extra turret worth of gold in his back pocket probably had he just said, guys, like hang around the dragon, but don't commit. Let them have it. I'm going to commit to top side there. Instead, side lanes don't exist. They aren't real with our Ryze, Pantheon, and Bessa comp. And KT, the consolation scuttle here at the end of this, but there's just nothing to take, and there's no way they could threaten a Baron take or anything like that with the side lane pressure now. I mean, the side lane pressure that doesn't exist, mind you. Yeah. This game is incredibly one-sided.
It definitely is. Like, the gold lead doesn't tell the full story. Like, 4,000 at 25 minutes isn't gigantic, but if you've watched the way it's played out, BNK have controlled everything. And everybody's building very tanky as well. You've got double Black Cleaver, a Black Cleaver here for Diablo. We have Rylai's second for Vigle. He's done this before. So it's going to be very difficult to try to catch someone out with your Pantheon and Bessa Leona if everybody is very tanky. It's Ducktom, very close call. Vigle,
good placement
getting in there.
Vigle was really close to actually stopping his Valkyrie there. Guy is looking clean right now. Perfect KDA, but so is pretty much everyone else on BNK. Only the one death for Kellen. But good placement there. Tried to get Ducktom to flash. Ducktom just barely able to get away. But I mean, look, the whole map is dark for KT. They can't see anything. And they don't have the ability to get that Ryze into the top lane to push that turret anymore. They need a miracle fight, and now they're getting flanked.
And there's a nice ward there that saw them move into the front bush. But that was really all they had. And that's why KT are kind of just sitting around here.
I think to kill Diablo alone is not enough here. Sure, he's the 3-item fed Lucian, but you still have to kill this Rumble. You still have to kill this Talia.
Uh-oh.
And they just have no vision. The whole map is black.
Ducktom can't be the guy that's going through the bush, too, you know? It's got to be Peter, and now he's going to go. He gets exhausted, and unfortunately has to engage now. They do get on top of Vigle, but he just flashes away. Nice, though, as Vigle is getting low. They do take out BDD on the backside of this fight. The fight very broken up, but full health bars for BNK on the back line. But Raptor will go down, looks like, in a trade for Cuz. And so it's 2 for 2. Diablo continues, as he always does, and looks to push for more. As now they go in. Perfect's got to be careful. He gets concussively blowed, and that's going to be the end of him.
Yeah, I guess he just thought his Maw was going to be enough there against the magic damage coming out from Clear. It certainly was not. He gets stunned by the concussive blows and just gets burst down. They wanted to save the turret. It's a 2 for 2, but the advantage in post-fight was always going to be BNK's. These types of fights, though, that are broken up are, I think, the best chance that KT have to win at this deficit. Look at how much damage Ducktom does to Vigle, forces him to flash, and then BDD on the side here is so tanky. He buys a bunch of space, and then Perfect's able to shove Raptor out of the fight. Ducktom flashes the wall, but unfortunately at this point, you can't get back in, right? There's nothing really more you can do here as KT, and then Perfect and Ducktom just try to stop this cannon wave. Perfect goes back in, gets concussive blowed and blown up by this Lucian. And, you know, it's like 1 step forward, 3 steps back here for KT.
Yeah. I really like the positioning of Ducktom there where he was extremely far forward trying to follow up on Peter, because if he doesn't chunk Vigle out, then it's just like a massively lost fight and they really don't have much pressure at all. So he tried his best, you know, he's really trying to walk the tightrope. Unfortunately, the tightrope is about to snap. The Cloud Soul is looking pretty free for the side of BNK.
And BNK's defensive objective takes. Okay, we're trying to trade for Baron.
All right, we're just going to send it.
I mean, BDD was lurking there, waiting for this play. As soon as they committed, he goes for this. Equalizer's dropped early. Yeah,
they're just going to try to take the fight without Raptor, it looks like. But the Smite should go the way of KT if they have the damage, but they don't. They're just going to pull off of the Baron. And the Gambit does not pay off, and Cloud Soul is secured here for BNK.
BNK are just not going to mess it up, man. Like, they're just playing so well from ahead, and sure, they have a massive lead. They've been ahead in this game. They had the lane prio and the objective prio for the entirety of the game. But it's how this team has evolved from early on in the season, where I think KT are like, yeah, surely they'll mess this up. But they just keep making all the right calls. Once again, they're going to suss this out because they had so much vision on it and will rotate over. Raptor has his smite back here, but there's not a lot of vision. No equalizer this time. KT with a calculated risk, but they will back away.
Yeah, I do like how they're trying to send it. You know, it's like some big risks being taken, but it's not a risk if you don't really lose anything off of the back of it, I suppose.
It's just the way that KT is playing this constantly feels like they're trying to force a mistake, and BNK are just like, nah.
Cuz is very far up in his own jungle, thought he would be safe. He is Pantheon, but the knockback gets him. And that's going to be the 6th kill here for the side of Diablo.
Vikla just keeps, he just finds somebody, he shoves them, and they die. And every time he finds a Pantheon, it's been working out.
They're just playing it so patiently. Like, they're always ready to pull off of the objective. They're never fully committing. Even though there's no smite on the side of KT, they could just take the Baron. But no, they're just being so careful in this one. As they want to go for the turn here, the Solar Flare is actually really good from the side of Peter, and now the turn comes in as the Equalizer going to force KT in. Perfect! Getting 2! As you go to the back line, it's a double kill actually for Duckdom, but nobody can deal with Clear as finally he goes golden. And I think the wallets might just be too heavy. It's actually very impressive that KT had to fight that close.
Yeah, they can't do Baron, of course, so it's somewhat of a win here for KT. And, like, BNK, the defensive setups, again, on these fights are so clean. Cuz gets caught here, has his flash available, has to use it early, doesn't have it for Vikla's follow-up here. It's just so incredibly easy. And then here it's like, okay, we have Vikla and Kellen kind of frontlining as Vikla fishes for picks. Okay, maybe went too far. It's a double stun from Peter, but Clear has the angle. The Equalizer placement means that KT can't really retreat. They have to force the fight. They do enough here. Diablo goes incredibly low, so the Baron is no longer takeable. You know, obviously losing your jungler makes that pretty tricky, but with everyone else, there's just no way they can do it. So again, a small victory for KT in keeping this game going, but really, I just don't know if you can really put it in the W column right now. Trades like this always feel good when you're this far behind. Like, wow, it's impressive that we could even do something in this game, but it's just not going to necessarily change the outcome. They need something bigger. Yeah. EDD level 17 here does not have his death cap, and he's just going to have to send it towards the Baron. I think they're just a little bit too late.
Redemption going to spot this going down and kind of put the cap on this one, I would imagine. With Cloud Soul and with the Baron, you would imagine that BNK can just push in here. They have 6,000 gold to lead, and they're looking for anyone. Duckdom is going to Valkyrie away, and Diablo is leading the charge. Here's the wall, and Perfect has to flash away. Diablo still in the front line. He's going to cleanse, but now Perfect goes in, and Pantheon goes to the back line, but the wallets are just too heavy, and they were alone, the two of them, trying to dive on a Diablo, and he's going to be totally fine. Looks like BNK with this push will end this game.
I'm getting a little bit excited about BNK, Valdez. This team is super clean. Look at this fight, too. They know the threats. They know they can turn on Perfect. The Pantheon coming through. They turn back and burst him down. It's what looks like an overextension from Diablo there on the front line, but actually pulls KT in. He's so fed. He does so much damage. He's got the shield bow. 0 and 6 Pantheon here for Cuz. Constantly shoved in. Peter, a ragdoll in this first game, and BNK make a statement here at the start of the playoffs.